Hello class 8, I hope you all are well. Today we are going to start chapter number 5, Revolt or Rebellion of 1857. It is also known as First War of Independence. In this chapter we will come to know about the effects of policies of East India Company, responses of reformers, mutiny becomes popular rebellion, the company fights back and aftermath. So let's begin. How policies of East India Company affect kings, queens, peasants, landlords, tribals, soldiers. First we will see how Nawabs were affected by the policies. Residents were sanctioned. After the Battle of Buxar, which was fought in the year 1764, the company appointed residents in the Indian states. They were political or commercial agents and their job was to serve and further the interests of the company. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of the Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne and who was to be appointed in the administrative posts. Secondly, subsidiary alliance. The Indian states sometimes the company forced the states of India, the Indian states into a subsidiary alliance. According to the subsidiary alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company but had to pay for the subsidiary forces that the company was supposed to maintain for the purpose of this protection. If the Indian rulers failed to make the payment, then part of their territory was taken away as penalty. So these Nawabs have to pay revenues and territories as penalty. Doctrine of lapse was also introduced in the year 1848 by Lord Dalhousie. The doctrine declared that if an Indian ruler died without a male heir, his kingdom would lapse, that is, it will become part of company territory. This doctrine of lapse was introduced in several states. Among them, one was very important, that was Jhansi, where the Britishers refused to accept the unnatural heirs. Rani Lakshmi Bai wanted the company to recognize her adopted son as the heir to the kingdom after the death of her husband Raja Gangadhar Rao Navalkar, but the company refused. Again, Nana Sahib, who was the adopted son of Peshwa Baji Rao II, Nana Sahib asked the Britishers that, or he pleaded the Britishers that he be given his father's pension when the later died. But again the Britishers denied his demand. Next, Mughal kings were removed from the coins. In order to bring the Mughal dynasty to an end, the name of the Mughal king was removed from the coins minted by the company. Again, one more thing, that Lord Dalhousie in 1849 announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, his family, or I can say the Mughal family would be transferred from Red Fort to other place in Delhi. In 1856, Lord Canning, Governor General Lord Canning, decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal king. After his death, none of his descendants would be recognized as kings. None of his descendants would be recognized as kings. Finally, Awadh in 1856 was taken away by doctrine of lapse, which was introduced by Dalhousie, and Dalhousie said that Awadh is misgoverned. Awadh is misgoverned by its rulers. We should know that Awadh was the second most important center of the revolt. Now, how the peasants were affected by the policies created by Britishers. Peasants and zamindars protested against high taxes and the rigid methods of revenue collection. Sepoys were denied to put a mark of saffron on their foreheads. Growing beard, they were also stopped from growing their beard. They were also stopped from wearing turbans. Promotions were denied. Promotions were not granted to the Indian sepoys. And another thing, that was summary settlement, which was introduced in 1856. The Talukdars lost the power. Religious sentiments were also hurted by the Britishers. We should know that in those days, many Hindus in the country believed that if they crossed the sea, they would lose their religion and caste. And in 1824, the sepoys were told to go to Burma by the sea route to fight for the company. They refused to follow the order. Though they were agreed to go by the land route, they were severely punished. Thus, in 1856, General Service Establishment Act was passed, by which the sepoys have to follow the protocol of the East India Company. Another thing, the religious sentiments were hurted by abolition of sati in 1829. At that time, Governor General was William Bentinck. Widow Remarriage Act was introduced in 1856. Now, the responses of the reformers. The British believed that the Indian societies should be reformed. They passed several laws to stop the practice of sati and encouraged widow remarriage. These things were collectively known as Religious Disability Act. After the passing of Charter of 1813, the company allowed the Christian missionaries to function freely in its domain. They asked the people to convert into Christianity, and in 1856 a new law was passed allowing the Indian who had converted to Christianity to inherit the property of his ancestors. These were the policies which were made by Britishers, and the people of Indians become very angry about these policies. I hope you understand this topic, this lesson very well. Subscribe our YouTube channel Army Goodwill School High Ground. Stay home, stay safe. God bless you.